all about Scorpio Part 21. The last time I did a recording about Scorpios, that was probably a week or a week and a half, where we covered something about one of the, famous Scorpios, at least in the metal industry. That will be Wayne Static. And this time we're going to talk about Scorpio's fury, Scorpio's anger. And how bad is it really? I mean, how bad is the wrath of a Scorpio? Definitely you can talk about revenge. You can talk about the temper and all that. And I guess for me, the reason why I decided to talk about this is because it is true that you should never cross with a Scorpio, especially when they're actually on the right side. The Scorpio sting is something that you should avoid because it's something that would always leave a mark, I tell you. Okay, so how bad is it really? I mean, the wrath of a Scorpio. It depends on what you did, actually. So, or how the Scorpio would actually take that with whatever that you did to them. But I think an angry Scorpio would definitely try to make a dent, He or she would definitely make a mark to show how you try to hurt him or her, and that messing with a Scorpio is never a great idea. I'm a Scorpio, and even though I don't get angry very often, I really have this trait where, it depends really. Not all Scorpios are the same. But as for me, I could relate because even though I'm just a quiet person, I don't get mad very often. But if I do, you would definitely get, will be sorry for messing with me. Definitely. Especially if I'm on the right track. Like, if I'm not doing anything at all and then you try to mess with me or did some things that really tried to hurt me. And I'd definitely teach you a lesson, I would definitely teach you a lesson, something that would leave a mark and something that would always remind you that it's not a good thing ever to cross with someone like me or a Scorpio like me. Okay? And I'm pretty sure Scorpios listening to this recording would definitely agree to that one. Scorpio is pretty much known for their act of revenge. Although it's not really a good thing, I tell you. Even though I'm a Scorpio, I know it's not a good thing to do revenge. There are different types or strategies to do revenge without hurting someone, either physically, emotionally, verbally. There are things that you can actually get back to the person by helping them realize the actions that they did that caused harm to you or to anybody else out there, not just you, right? So I would prefer doing, something like a revenge that would actually not cause a lot of harm to someone. And I'm still trying to learn that, really, because typically Scorpios would really do something that would make someone's hair curl, if you try to mess with them. Anyway, I'm going to read this. This is from the lolscorpio.tumblr.com article. And it says here, an angry Scorpio is a force to be reckoned with. Here are the signs you're actually seeing a pissed off Scorpio. Okay. Number 1, they furrow their brows slightly and stare hard at nothing in particular. That's so true. Number 2, they are silent. Number 3, their lips are pressed together with slightly more force than usual. And finally, their breathing turns slow and hard, and they breathe through their nose. I've seen a lot of Scorpios, being angry like that. It's kind of scary, I tell you. I've seen a couple, or probably, in my lifetime, I've probably seen 3 to 5 people who are in a really, really, shocking and quite scary, temper. And I tell you, it's like they're possessed or something, especially for those Scorpios that are really quiet. That's really scary, I tell you. That's something you shouldn't cross with, especially those type of Scorpios are really, really quiet. Because as they, of course, I'm pretty sure you're already, aware that people are really, really silent or really quiet, when they actually reach that boiling point. You would really, really be surprised to see how crazy they are when they get mad. So I guess it's the same with those type of Scorpios who are pretty much silent. But when they get really mad, you would regret it, really. So there you go. Next thing it says here, Scorpios are deadly when angry and tend to lash out at those who try to give advice. Also, when they get mad, they stay mad, so trying to console them isn't really the best idea. When dealing with a pissed off Scorpio, it's best to leave them for a while, so long as you know they're not going to hurt anyone, of course. Their anger is comparable to lightning. To borrow a phrase from Struck by Lightning, it is all-consuming and tries to escape in any way possible. So Scorpios will try to vent their energy by any means possible. So here are the examples to vent out those, energies. Exercise, ranting. Oh, that's what I do. I rant. If I'm really, really pissed off, I'm really, in a state where I'm really exploding with anger, I would definitely rant, But I usually rant to people that I'm really, really, really close with. I don't rant to people that I'm not close with or, just typical, person, because I can't open up to someone that I don't trust anyway. So, yeah, ranting. So if they rant to you, the best response you can give them is agitated agreement, okay? Oh my God, sex? Really? Anyway, creative expression, for example, art, poetry, and writing. And then listening to music, not a good idea to interrupt a Scorpio venting this way. Meditation, crying, sleeping, and internet. After a Scorpio is vented and has had a little cool down time, the storm has passed and they will be calmer. Caution, even if a Scorpio is calmed down, the bitter resentment is still there and will be there for a very, very long time. That's so true. So stirring up anything would be unwise or you will feel the wrath. Oh my God. But of course, let's also try to identify what is it really that makes a Scorpio mad, That's a good question, actually. What makes a Scorpio mad? Personally, what makes me mad as a Scorpio? I guess it would be hypocrisy. I don't like hypocrites. I'll be very blunt with that. I don't really entertain hypocrites or fake, phony people. So if you're fake with me, you're acting like you're pleasing me out of something for some agenda, or just, you're just a sucker or whatever, then it's not really going to make me angry. But it's as simple as I'm just going to, run away, or not really run away, but move away from you. But to make me really angry is actually to say something that is totally untrue, and if you did something like that, that would really make me burst out, and make me really explode in anger, because Scorpio, again, they value honesty, okay, and respect. So every time a person tries to disrespect me or tries to create false, rumors or things that are really untrue, I would definitely explode, But it depends, because sometimes as you grow older, you try to control your temper and you try to control those anger, because dealing with it, if you try to react to whatever it is that they're flinging at you, would not help anyway. And if you know in yourself it's untrue, then I don't see the point of wasting my time trying to, mess around with them, or trying to do some things that would actually even make matters worse. So I just try to, just let it be. But honestly, those are one of the things that really makes me mad. I do not like hypocrites, fake people who are always trying to spread false things that are not true. Those who are backstabbers, or those who are actually, just basically living a freaking pathetic, boring life, talking about other people's lives and saying some false statements or false things about that person just to destroy the image of the person. I mean, that is really, really way too much. But, again, like what I said, I think through learning and as you grow older and, when you become mature, sometimes you just don't have to deal with it like in a way that you would definitely react and try to confront the person, because sometimes it's really just a total, like a total waste of time. So I guess that's, one of the things I could share about what makes a Scorpio mad. But let's see, maybe we can actually pick up some stuffs here about what makes a Scorpio mad, really, or what makes a Scorpio really angry. Okay, let's see. All right, so yeah, another thing that would make a Scorpio angry is when you actually, of course, the disrespect. When someone tries to disrespect a Scorpio, like what I said earlier, that would definitely make him or her, scream like a banshee and, be really mad. Because, again, like what I said earlier, Scorpio values not only honesty, but also respect. And besides, respect is earned. So if a Scorpio is trying to respect you and they actually got something that is of the total opposite, then I guess you would definitely feel the lash or the anger of a Scorpio. And it also makes them angry if you try to touch into their private lives. Most of the time, they don't like that. Scorpios are very private, so if they're not comfortable talking about things about themselves, really, not really talking about some sensitive stuff, about them, then don't push it. Because the more you push it, then the more you would actually feel the fury, and you might regret it, actually. Another thing, in my opinion, I guess, what makes a Scorpio angry is the subject of betrayal and the subject of infidelity, because on top of honesty, respect, and honesty and respect, there's also loyalty. I've mentioned this in my previous recordings, so it's true that Scorpios value loyalty. So if they actually found out that you were actually trying to betray them, either as a friend, like you were saying some negative stuff about them, or you're not really being true to them, and they, warmed that out, or they found out that you were really, a backstabbing friend, then I tell you, you should run away and as fast as you can, because, but definitely you can, feel the lash or the fury of a Scorpio for doing that, because they do not really like that, especially if they were already able to include you into their circles, and then later on they would find out that you were not really true, or there are some circumstances where you would show your true colors and try to betray them, So that's also one thing. And another thing, when it comes to romantic, the romantic side, partners, for cheating partners. So I guess that's a top one. Because trust is also very, very important for Scorpios, and I know you Scorpios listening to this would really agree to that. So if you found out rather that someone is actually just trying to be untrue to you, especially your partner, your other half or significant other is actually cheating on you, then that's going to be like World War III, that is something very, very, what do you call this? Like, it's something that a Scorpio cannot bear. Definitely. So, that spells World War III. I tell you. So I would suggest that if you are actually unhappy with, being in a relationship with the fellow Scorpio, I guess it's better that you try to be very much open about it. Although you would still feel the whips and the lash of their anger, but I think it's better than getting caught, because at least they're very honest and upfront instead of them finding out whatever it is that you're doing and then you keep on lying about it. Okay, so that's also one of the things, I guess, what I could share as a Scorpio. Anyway, I'm trying to check out Pinterest here, and there is a board about Scorpio anger, so I tried to read some of it here. It says here, Scorpios are sweet on the outside, but dark and twisted on the inside, so do not cross them. Ooh, scary. Okay, Scorpio in anger. They will tell themselves they are above anger, and for the most part, that's true. They'll stay on the defensive side and get far away from you as possible. Not because they're scared of you, but because they are afraid of the damage they will do when they get angry. Some anger will show through their glaring eyes. That's the one thing that is so freaking true. I tell you about the eyes. I myself, a lot of my friends who actually saw me really angry, they would tell me that, there's something about your eyes when you're angry. It's so scary. And then, of course, the sarcasm. Yep. Scorpios are very, very sarcastic when they're really, really pissed off at someone. And then brutal criticism. They may never let it go when they get truly angry at you. So I like this pin, definitely. Okay, what's next? It says here, I prefer to distance myself whenever I'm mad because I could be the most heartless person you'll ever meet, and you're going to hate me for that. Ooh. All right, what else? I am not a woman. I am an inferno. I am a tempest. I am venom and fangs and claws. I am lightning and starlight, and I'm hell in high heels. Kind of scary, huh? Like, it's a hellish experience indeed. But one thing is for sure, especially for those type of Scorpios he keeps on stinging hard. Every once in a while they would keep on stinging. I guess fellow Scorpios would actually understand what I'm saying. There are a type of Scorpios where they won't stop, They're like very sadistic. Like, they keep on stinging every now and then, for their pleasure because you try to hurt them or cross them in any way. So they would really get back at you and try to sting you every now and then. There are Scorpios, and they say that's the ego Scorpios, where they would really just teach you a really big lesson. The pain that they're going to inflict at you for hurting them is definitely something you'll never forget. However, they're just going to do it once. They're not going to do it like every now and then, like sting you every now and then. It's just for you to learn your own lesson for crossing them. Especially, I'm talking about if they're on the right side. Like, let's say you're just such an asshole that you try to cross them and they're going to, give you a lesson for doing that. So there are several types of Scorpios, I think 3. So there's one type of Scorpio, I think that's a lizard, if I'm not mistaken, where they keep on stinging every now and then. But the ego Scorpios would actually just do it once, and then once they're done, but that's going to be a really big lesson or a huge lesson that you'll never forget all your life. But that's it. And then they're going to walk away. That's it. All right. So what else about Scorpio anger or temper? Scorpio don't immediately blow with anger. They will simmer until the right moment, then chew you up and spit you out. Ooh. Okay, another thing. Contrary to popular belief, a Scorpio has a lot of patience and is not quick to anger. They'll quietly observe what you do for a long period of time first. However, there are limits to Scorpio's patience, and if you disrespect them, I told you that earlier, right? Or someone they love, oh yes, that's so true. You will see a side of them you've never seen before. Scorpio can appear to be calm 1 second, but if you push their buttons, they will explode like a volcano. When Scorpio is angry, they let out feelings that they've kept stored inside for quite some time, and it can be very, very ugly. You know what? This is the best description for Scorpio anger. I think. I mean, do you fellow Scorpios listening to this audio recording agree? But I guess this is a perfect description of a Scorpio's anger. Again, like what I told you earlier, they have this really scary temper. They don't get mad like very often, like burst out really often, unless they have some affliction of some sign. But once you cross them, or once you really try to push their limits, you'll be sorry that you did, And I like the fact that it also mentioned here about the disrespect, like what I told you earlier. That's something that Scorpios value. Respect. They would try to respect other people out there, but if they received or get something that is totally the opposite, despite of being respectful and being nice to that person, then you will be very, very sorry about it. They can be twice as disrespectful as what you tried to show them. And another thing is that they would definitely feel very, very mad when you try to cross or try to hurt their loved ones. I'm going to share something real quick. I have a brother. He's being bullied and really he was, being bullied by one of his managers. And I got really sick because he would also share those stories with us and, how asshole that manager of his was. And I actually heard when his boss, his manager, tried to call him, and it was so disrespectful. And when I heard it, and I said, this is so uncalled for, I said, you know what, this is so inappropriate. Even though you're a manager or your boss, you don't have any freaking right to say things like that. It is so totally unprofessional. And so what I did was, because he's my brother, I immediately just grabbed the phone and... oh my God, I'm not going to, say everything entirely, but I was really freaking out. And I tried definitely to say the most unpleasant things to this manager because I don't like that. If you try to mess with my loved ones, my family, you're also messing with me. And I guess those are the type of Scorpios who are very protective, very loyal and protective to their loved ones. And I'm pretty sure some of you guys can also agree with that. So don't you ever mess with their loved ones. So I guess this is the perfect, for me, this is the perfect description of a Scorpio's anger, or what makes them really, really angry. And it's true, they don't get angry very often, but if they do, you should run under the covers. I don't know. Anyway, let's check this one out. Scorpios are slow to anger, but when they do watch out, they will seek revenge in a calm but frightening manner. They are proud, dignified, and headstrong. They typically have great long-term memory and will unlikely to forgive when hurt. I believe that Scorpios can forgive, but to forget, no. I don't think that Scorpios will ever forget the harm that they felt from, the person, either the person that they, had argument with, or the person that they love, whatever. But they'll never, never forget. That's, I think, one of the truest thing about Scorpio, really. Oh, God. I just said this earlier. When she's mad, even the demons run for cover. Okay, what else? I think that's about it, because what I really like about the pen earlier that I just read is that it perfectly describes what a Scorpio is like when they're angry. They try to keep everything inside, but when you try to push your limits, it would just really explode and you won't like it. I guess this is it. All right, so before we end the recording, let's also talk about how to deal with an angry Scorpio. Let's try to find out what are, the things they need to do when they're angry and when they're mad. Okay, this one is from onehowto.com. All right, number 1. How to deal with an angry Scorpio. Although Scorpio has a strong personality that is hard to bear, there is a characteristic in them which is quite remarkable: their self-control. This causes their anger to not be evident early on, and has them, I had to laugh, I'm so sorry, because it's so true, and has them containing their foul mood. Okay. So, number 2, those born under the influence of this water sign do not lose their cool, but they will stop talking when they feel offended or angry. Their silence and the capacity to ignore the person who's made them angry is a Scorpio's greatest weapon. Again, so true. Number 3, if a Scorpio is angry, do not expect a spontaneous reaction. Most likely you won't immediately perceive that they are angry or unhappy. However, this zodiac sign is characterized by being a very spiteful and vindictive. So pay attention, because at any moment they may want to hurt your feelings as you did theirs. Yep. And I'm warning you, as a fellow Scorpio, that's so true. They're just waiting for the perfect time. Timing is their weapon. Number 4, to detect that a Scorpio is angry, look at their physiognomy, how he or she changes face. If they feel offended, jealous, or angry, they will emit subtle signs of anger. Among them, pressing lips, slightly arching eyebrows, looking away or keeping staring at the horizon for a long time, and then, of course, their also famous crazy silence. Number 5, on the other hand, before exploding from their rage, Scorpio will exit the scene. This will let you know, too, that this person has been very angry. Therefore, we do not recommend that you expect a reaction. Let Scorpio recover from the intensity of the anger, which will subside shortly. Number 6, just remember that this is the most strategist zodiac sign, so it may take him or her years to forgive and forget, depending on the severity of their anger. To deal with an angry Scorpio, you will have to bring out all your kindness, understanding, and respect, and make him or her realize that your repentance is genuine. Again, Scorpio values honesty, sincerity. Number 7, apologize, but do not do it at the time of the argument, because the anger may increase. It is very difficult to win the battle against a Scorpio, so you will have to swallow your pride a little for this sign to forgive you. On the other hand, keep in mind that their resentment will not make mistakes be easily forgotten, and it may lead them to reproaches. Number 8, let them leave and do not follow. It is better that way. If the discussion continues, a Scorpio will lose his self-control, and this can make them be very hard on you. Try not to show you're also angry, because this will cause a new schism. And finally, be subtle and skillful before approaching, and let Scorpio recover calmness and self-control before apologizing. Try not to stir up confrontation and not to make accusations or rub salt in the wound if you don't want him or her to become angry again. Well, that's interesting. Most of it are pretty true. Okay? Now, before I end this recording, because I've been talking here for almost 30 minutes, I'm just going to share about the recent examples where I got really, really angry. It's hard to make me really, really angry, like totally angry. But I think this is an example of someone who actually tried to show signs of disrespect. For me, respect is very, very important, not only in friendship or any form of relationship, even marital, even just, human to human relationship, right? So, unless you're an animal, okay? But, I encountered someone who's actually so much of an asswipe. I'm sorry for the, vulgarity and all that, but I'm a very blunt person. This person was like totally, illogical, okay? So this person was actually trying to complain that my door kept on banging, every now and then, which is untrue. Number 1, untrue. So don't lie. Okay. Number 2 is that this person was like trying to stir up some conflict, like some trouble. I don't know what the fuck is her deal. I'm so sorry for the vulgarity, but I'm just so honest right now. But I was like, what is your problem? The door banged, and I tried to put something that would actually prevent the door from banging. Unfortunately, the wind was so freaking strong that it still, it was so strong that it banged the door pretty hard. Okay, yeah, of course, by the way, with, how I try to share my story, you could definitely tell that it's my neighbor. Yeah, it was my neighbor. And they're actually just rented like few months ago. I've been renting this place for like 4 years already. And they're pretty much the type who's very haughty, very arrogant, like they own the place. Not for anything. I am not against lesbians or gay people, but they're actually on the other side, the third sex, definitely. And the first time they actually tried to confront us because my sister was there. They confronted my sister asking if was it us who tried to bang the door or something. And my sister was just like staring at her, blank face, like, what the freak are you talking about? Like, are we going to fight about this? Argue about, the wind the wind blowing and it banged the door that hard? I mean, come on, And the second time it happened, I was the one she confronted. So I was like, okay, what's your problem? And she told me, was it your door who just banged like, a few minutes ago? And I was like, yeah, I did. It's not only the door that keeps banging and when the wind is so hard and rough. And I guess she got really, really pissed off and mad about it because it was so sarcastic. But it was true. Sorry, but the truth hurts. And she was like, because I got, I was awakened by the sound and all that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, this was the second time, like, she's making a big fuss about, the door. And then she came back. And she kept on fussing and, really trying to making a big fuss or stink about it, creating a stink about it. And she's such a blabbermouth, for someone like her with the, I don't want to, I don't want to say other really, really, I don't know. I can be so rude when I'm really angry. But for someone like her, she has such a big mouth, I tell you. And she kept on really like complaining and ranting and, acting very much like she owns the place. And she was really demanding me not to do that because it hurt. It's like, did I hurt your feelings? Oh my God, because of the wind blowing and I disturb your sleep somehow, your precious sleep. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to laugh or I'm going to get really, really mad. I tell you, because I don't see the freaking logic. Like, okay, are you accusing me that I did it on purpose? Come on. I mean, can't you see that I already, put something in the, near the door so it wouldn't bang? But unfortunately, the wind was so freaking hard and rough. And I guess it was really trying to piss her off. So anyway, she got really mad and she kept on, really trying to create a stink about it. So I got really pissed off. I got really angry. And so I said some things in a way that, she just wouldn't let me finish. Like, that she already lost the argument anyway. So she would even just try to pinpoint you trying to speak in English. And she would also tell me, like, don't speak in English with me. Like, don't you try speaking in English. And I could tell her, oh my gosh, sorry, FYI, when I'm angry, I really talk in English. It's like a big deal to that person. But, those type of people are something that as much as possible you try to avoid or try not to really, like, it's not that you are running away from them or you're trying to, it's just that, it's a waste of time, honestly. It's a waste of time dealing with idiots, sorry, but, or someone who's, not in the same level, So I don't want to stoop down to her level, but of course I did try to fight back, really trying to state my rights and tell her that, you know what? This is not true. Whatever it is that you're thinking, that I did it on purpose, or I didn't even apologize. Why would I apologize? I didn't do it on purpose. So, I just tried to make her feel that she has no right to talk like that to me. Because the way she really confronted me is so disrespectful. And I tell you again, a Scorpio she would be a mad woman, or he would be a mad person, really. A mad woman, or, be really exploding like a volcano if you try to touch them on that spot. So I just tried to lash at her and, make her feel that I'm not the one that she can easily mess with. And so what she did was she went to the management, tried to complain about it. Unfortunately, she lost because even the owner of the condominium was like finding her logic so stupid. Like, it was so illogical. I tell you, it was so illogical. Like, why would you make a fuss about the door banging? I mean, it doesn't happen every now and then, which is so untrue because, I don't open my doors all the time. You could even call me a hermit. Anyway, that's about it. 35 minutes of talking. Jeez. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this audio recording for All About Scorpio Part 21. I'll be back next time and come up with some interesting topics about Scorpio. See ya. Bye-bye.